I'm a regular watcher of Redacted Tonight, a program on RT hosted by Lee Camp. I greatly enjoy his show and the very anti-capitalist message that comes out in his reporting. But I saw something the other day which I'm going to have to disagree with, which is actually quite rare. In a recent segment, he discussed a study which suggested that revolution was right around the corner in the US. The study suggested that the Gini coefficient, which measures inequality of the US, is ripe for fermenting revolution. The study said that the worst inequality ever faced by humanity on a scale from 0 to 1 was 0.59, which was ancient Rome. America today, according to the study, was 0.81. Now in 2010, the Gini coefficient was 0.46, so I really have no idea where they got this 0.81 from. But for the sake of argument, let's say it's real. I think a real question to be asked is an inequality of how much wealth? The inequality in the US is great, no doubt, but the amount received by the average American places them into the global 1%. This global position is enough to keep the wealth of Americans from rebelling in any significant way. To put it another way, it's the bottom half of 1 million as opposed to the bottom half of 100, and this is a very significant difference. This is the difference in equality. This difference in inequality means the difference between a median income of $34,000 a year or $2 a day. Camp then refers to a study often touted by first worlders which claims that 1% of the world's population controls half of the world's wealth. This was a study done by Oxfam, and it's very misleading and does not take into account several of the realities the global poor faces. Now, the LLCO has an excellent response to it. In it, they very heavily criticize the data. One of the flaws is that the Credit Suisse data is too vague to reliably extrapolate as Oxfam does. The more fundamental error stems from the problem that people do not know what the word wealth means when used by bourgeois economists. People do not understand that wealth is not the same thing as standard of living. Wealth simply means assets minus debts. For example, someone in the US might have a tremendous amount of debt. Perhaps they owe money on a house, a car, credit cards, student loans, and so on. Even though this person has a negative wealth, they enjoy a happy, comfortable life as a member of the American first world middle class. Another person, let's say a subsistence farmer in Bangladesh, might have little to no debt. They may be on the verge of starvation. Their children might have to do child labor just to earn enough food or medicine to get by. They might end up as a sex slave in order to avoid starvation. They might just survive on little more than handfuls of rice each day. This Bengali person, who barely survives because they have little or no debt, is technically counted as more wealthy than the American. If the Credit Suisse data is examined closely, we just see how flawed Oxfam's extrapolations are. The following graphic visually represents the distribution of wealth between various geographic economic entities, which are represented in different colors. The 1 to 10 are deciles. The 1 on the chart represents the distribution of wealth across the bottom 10%. 2 represents the bottom 20%, and so on. Look at the left side of the graph and the bottom deciles. What immediately jumps out? Felix Selman answers in an excellent article debunking Oxfam. The weird thing is that the triangle in the top left-hand corner, if you look at the tables in the Credit Suisse data book, China has 0 people in the bottom 10% of the world's population. Everybody in China is in the top 90% of global wealth, and the vast majority of Chinese are in the top half of global wealth. India is on the list, though. If you're looking for the poorest 10% of the world's population, you'll find 16.4% of them in India, another 4.4% in Bangladesh. Pakistan is 2.6% of the world's bottom 10%, while Nigeria has 3.9%. But there's one unlikely country which has a whopping 7.5% of the poorest of the poor, second only to India. That country? The United States. Much more information regarding this data is available at the LLCO blog post on the subject, which I have linked in the description. But this adequately demonstrates the very real wealth differences between the first and the third world when you don't skew the data. Camp then proceeds to contradict himself on this great poverty when he points out the overconsumption by the US. Does this mean revolution is unnecessary in the first world? Of course not. We're talking about the actually existing desire by the population to carry it out. This also demonstrates that despite the claim that revolution is just around the corner, as we've been hearing for about 100 years in the U.S., the average American is quite content with what they have, minus a few reforms that they would like to see. The truth is not quite as Lee Camp had depicted it. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.